How to integrate Zoho CRM and Zoho Books the easy way. So, you have a Zoho CRM system and you want to use a finance app to do your accounting with all those customers and sales you're recording in your CRM. Zoho Books is Zoho's financial and accounting tool and it's really good. However, there are quite a few things you need to be aware of before you can link it to your CRM. Zoho Books has its own transaction modules. A transaction module is a record which holds line items, i.e. the services and products you are actually selling and buying. If you use the books estimates, sales orders and invoices, not the CRM standard ones, some of the reports in CRM won't work. Not currently. They might work in future, but right now, not so great. You need to recreate the reports that you want in Zoho Analytics. If you use the CRM transaction modules that come out of the box, then data won't automatically go into books. You're left with an issue. What do? Most people will use the books transactions and integrate it. That is what I'll show you today. But there is a third way. We can push a CRM sales order to a book sales order so you can get the best of both worlds. You can report on the CRM data and have it in books as well. This requires a bit of tinkering in the CRM system and books. If it's something you're interested in, let me know. Data needs to be synced between the two systems. The products and services, accounts and contacts will need to be in both systems, but usually for most people it gets created in the CRM. The CRM is what we tend to call the master system, and it's there that most of the data will be created. If you have a new customer, well, that is an account, add it to the CRM system. Add the contacts in the CRM system too. Something to be aware of though. The word account in CRM refers to companies and organization. The word account in books refers to the accounting ledger. Accounts in books is also called the contact. Most people already know this, but just in case you didn't, well, you do now. Before you connect the apps. Okay, so now we have those important points out of the way. Let's go look at what you need to do first before you connect the apps. Make sure you have a paid version of both apps, because it can be annoying if you try and do this and the page says you can't. I'm on Zoho 1, but if your CRM doesn't have quotes, sales orders and invoices, then that's a big hint that it won't work for you. Make sure you have a Zoho Books account set up. This video won't go into setting up Zoho Books. If you want a course on that, let me know. There are two ways of making the integration connection between both systems, from the CRM side and the books side. I'll show you the CRM side quickly, but we'll actually use the book side because it has more options. Zoho CRM to Books integration page. The CRM page. Okay, so go to the CRM and select Marketplace in the settings here. Then select Zoho. You will then be presented with this page. Scroll down and select Zoho Finance Suite integration. Then when you first start, you will get a button that says Get Started. So let's press that. Select your organization. There you go. And then press Next. Then press the modules you want to use. We are only doing Zoho Books here, so select Invoice, Estimate, Sales Orders and Purchase Orders, which is that. Therefore, we can deselect everything else. We're going to ignore those other options because that's for another video at another time. Now, if you didn't have a Zoho Books system set up already, as you saw my previous page here, I got to pick the organization, but if you didn't have that, then you'll actually need to create a Zoho Books system and you'll select the organization there, fill in some details such as your company name details, things that the Zoho Books finance system needs to use in order to create a new Zoho Books system. Once you've got a Zoho Books instance ready, it will take you to this, the syncing page. I'm going to stop and not press the sync here. Why? It's because I'll show you the same thing but from the direction of books. Because you could go in to here, fill in these fields, which modules need to be synchronized, accounts and their contacts, which records, accounts and or contacts, and you can select from list views, etc. And then you basically map the field, contacts fields on the left hand side, Zoho CRM system on the right hand side. But we are not going to do that. We're not going to press save and we're not going to sync from this part of the system. We're going to do it from Zoho Books instead. So let's go have a look at that. Zoho CRM to Books integration page, the Books page. You might be thinking, why did I show you the setup process in the CRM system if I was going to ignore it and do it via Books anyway? Good point. Some people will have gone through that process in setting up via the CRM already. So for those of you who did that way, then that's fine. And the steps I just showed you will be familiar to them. They can follow the same instructions that I will be giving from this other page. The Books page has a few more options. It's basically the same thing. So use that if you can. But if you're watching this video and you haven't already tried to set this up, good. Now let's show you how to do it properly. So if you do not have a Zoho Books account already set up, just to recap, make sure you do that first. I'm going to assume you have, as this video won't cover setting up Zoho Books. Once you have a Books account, log into it, click the settings in the top right corner, then go to integrations and select the CRM, which usually is at the top. Now normally it would say connect, but because I just did a integration from the CRM side, it just says show details now. You'd normally get it to say connect. So we're going to do that. Follow what it says on the screen to get it connected. But because we've already done that previously, it's jumped that step already for us. So I'm going to enable this integration and then press confirm. In fact, let's pause for a second and let's go have a look in here. So we've got all the modules here. Let's turn that back on, confirm. Organization, yep, we only have one. That's now turned on. I now have visibility of all of these and some extra stuff in the bottom. Let's go and synchronize the contacts first. When you select the contacts here, you will need to choose which modules in the CRM you want to sync into Books. So go press edit and you will see some information. When you select the contacts, you will need to choose which modules in the CRM you want to sync into Books. If you are using both the CRM accounts and contacts, then select accounts and their contacts. Also, it is a good idea to tick the button to include contacts that are not linked to any accounts, just in case you have that in your CRM too. Then select the extent of the sync, which is this next option. Be very careful here. I'm going to skip the explanation here and tell you what you should do instead. Do a one-way sync from the CRM and not both ways. Why? Well, I did say I'm going to skip the explanation, but the short version is your CRM system is the master database. Respect the master database. What about duplicates? You may get a few duplicates that match the name. Best thing, if you are not sure, clone it. Don't select overwrite. You're asking for issues that way. The next option, the view that should be synced in the CRM for both the accounts and the contacts. So we use all in both, all accounts and all contacts, because we want all of them in here. Use all in the list views, unless you know what you're doing. Then if you do, what are you watching me for? But on a serious note, use all in the sync. Okay, now we get to a tricky bit, the field maps. The fields on the left are the books fields. On the right hand side is the CRM fields. Choose the right CRM field for the books field. Sounds pretty straightforward, but people do get this wrong. If you do not have a CRM field for a specific books field, for example, payment terms, and we don't have a field in our system, in the account, that's okay. You can either pause this and go and create a field in your CRM and come back to this, or you can ignore it for now. As long as it's not mandatory. A mandatory field are red. There's not many, display name is what you want. So let's map the accounts and then we'll do the contacts. So let's go have a look. Account name, yes, it's in there twice. It's important. Company, currency code, currency, it all works. Website. Billing attention, well, we don't have another field for that, so that's fine. Billing street 2. We don't really need it because we're using address, street, city, province, country, and billing code, which is billing code is postcode. We have the same going on for shipping, so we're ignoring street 2 inside Zoho Books. And that should be it. We'll grab the remarks field in books to the description field in CRM. Now let's have a look at the contacts. Salutation, first name, last name, email address. These are all locked in, grayed out, they're essential. Everything else is all right. Designation, some people think of it as job title. So we can do the same. Is primary contact, we don't have a yes, no. If we did, we'd put it yes, no. Or a checkbox in the CRM, contact field. Display name, company name, well, it's linked to the account, so we don't necessarily need to do company name, it's already there. A lot of this stuff is irrelevant because we're syncing at the account level. And then once you're done, press save and synchronize it. So this is now synchronizing in the background. It'll take a little bit of time. And it happens automatically every 2 hours. Data from the CRM system will get pushed into books. Let's synchronize the vendors while we're here. Press edit. The vendors is very similar. One way. Oh, one way. There we go. Clone. Yeah. All vendors. And everything else is fine. We've got vendor name already mapped. It's an important field. So we're going to save and sync. All right. That was quick. Let's do the last item for our sync. The products. Sync the products one way too. By now you get the point. Clone. Now let's not delete items in the background that are already in transactions. So let's ignore that and just map the fields. It says here the default view will be all products. So there's no filtering going on for these fields. So let's have a look at this. So books field on the left hand side, products field on the right hand side in the CRM system. So you can see the one that's not auto mapped is cost price, because in Zoho Books there is a field for that. In the CRM system there isn't. Now you can go off and map that or create a new field for cost price, remember to use the currency field in Zoho CRM products module. Once you've done that, come back to this, remap that to that field, and then it will work. Another interesting bit is you can add extra custom fields in Books to sync it with something in CRM. There's not a lot of fields here, and most of the important fields are already locked. Whilst you're in here, you see product category. In order to import products as goods or services or digital services, the value of the custom field should be set to goods, services, or digital services in CRM. Right, here's an interesting thing. The product type in the CRM system, let's go into CRM system. Let's go find our products module, there it is. We're using product category. We've called it trading packages. The system won't like it. And so we should really have the field goods, services, or digital services. So we should probably create a field now with that information. So let's do that. Okay, so it's a pick list field. Let's go grab that here and call it product type goods, services, and digital services. Press done, press save. We need to cancel this because the field won't load. So let's go back, edit, let's grab it. It's not product category, product type, which is the field you've just seen me create. So there you go. That will work. And once you've done it, press save and sync. Is that the end? Well, not quite. Because Zoho CRM products don't have the concept of the ledger, you will need to update all the products in Zoho Books with the correct accounting ledger. You do this in the item section in Zoho Books. Press back, items, there we go, items, there we go, press edit. Now, what you need to do, and this is more to do with your Zoho Books setup, is you need to have the right products and services in your Zoho Books accounting ledger, and so you can select it from here. And also if this product has a purchase element, a cost element, you can link it on this side with all the correct account ledger. Remember, account in Zoho CRM is organization, account in Zoho Books is the ledger. So make sure you go through the items table in Books with the correct account. Once you've done that, you can save it. Finishing off. But wait, there's another setting to pay attention to. Now that you're going to use Zoho Books transaction modules in the CRM, you need to pick what you want to do with the existing CRM modules. Go back into the Zoho Books integration page and you will see it says here sync transaction modules. And essentially what it's doing is it enables the Zoho Finance transaction modules in your Zoho Books. If you're using the standard Books transactions in CRM, then you don't really need the Zoho CRM modules, and you can go into Zoho CRM, go to modules, and essentially you can turn those off. I'm not going to do that just to show you, but that's the idea. Now, if you heard what I said earlier about using the standard CRM modules and automatically creating the Books sales orders from the CRM transaction records, then you will need to keep these modules and not hide them. Let me know if you'd like to use the CRM modules and keep the CRM transaction module reporting in the CRM. Drop me a message on my website, thecrmtrainer.com, and let me know if you'd like this functionality added to your system. Now, you see that I'm using the standard sync transaction modules. I'm using one-way sync. If you changed it to a two-way sync, then we could enable the sync transaction modules. The reason why I'm using one-way sync is to prevent people from Zoho Books changing account details. But for now, I'll just quickly change this to two-way sync just so that you can see the Books transaction modules in the CRM system. Sync both ways. Ooh, there we go. Yep. Save and sync. Alright, let that do that in the background. And then we can enable it. Okay. Well, thank you very much. It wants to do it for the vendors as well. Alright, so now we're going to enable the sync transaction modules in the CRM system from Books, so that the Books modules are available in CRM. I'm going to enable it, press confirm. There we go. Now, it only works if I had that in a two-way sync. I generally say one-way sync, and then what we do is we do our own synchronization. If you want that, let me know, but this is the standard one, so you have to do two-way sync, unfortunately, for that. And I tend to avoid that sort of thing. We tend to make our own transaction sync instead. So what we'll do is, because we've got the sync modules in CRM, let's go to Books. Let's refresh this. We should have Zoho Finance tab. And there we go. Now, normally you wouldn't go in this direction. You'd go to a deal, create a deal. As you saw in my user training course, if you bought that, you can then create an estimate in Zoho Finance as opposed to Zoho CRM using the quote module. What you do instead is you go to Zoho Finance, get this section at the bottom, you create a new estimate, which is the same as a quote, a sales order, and an invoice straight from the deal module, as opposed to using the standard quotes and sales order and invoice module in the CRM system. But as I mentioned right at the very beginning, there is a caveat to that. Some of the reporting isn't great, so you'd have to recreate the reports yourself. Let me know if you're interested in retaining the reporting capabilities and having the CRM transaction modules sync between the two systems without that two-way sync enabled, so that the CRM system can produce transaction reports. If you want to know what has happened in your sync, go back to the Zoho Books integration page and you should be able to see show sync history. Now, whilst it's syncing, you may have to wait, and if you want a new sync, you can go back and edit it to change the sync details, like map more fields, etc. Or we can do a forced sync, which is an instant sync. The instant sync allows you to manually run a sync in case you have created a record in the CRM and it hasn't appeared in Books yet. There is normally a 2-hour wait between new records created or edited in your CRM system and them appearing in your Zoho Books. So that's the end of this quick video showing you how to do basic Zoho CRM to Zoho Books sync. Check out my website for other useful tips. I also have some full courses on how to use and build a Zoho CRM system the right way.